do I beat that?
We're live, right on. Hey, Facebook Live. We're coming to you from downtown Vancouver. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, microphones. And what a great song. You ain't seen nothing yet. Welcome back to Talk Recovery Radio. Hello, everybody. I don't know if you got the first half of the show, but we had Unstoppable, the author Stuart Myers. There's the camera. There you go. Look at that. That was our first guest talking about overcoming adversity and how he's unstoppable, living with Tourette's. He's become a national motivational speaker, and yeah, it was quite fun to have in studio. You can catch his interview in our archives that go online on our Facebook page and SoundCloud and iTunes and YouTube and all that. Thanks for watching. And long time ago, we started this series called Personal Stories, which is the second half of our show. And today we've got Janice on the show. Hi, Janice.
Hi.
Hello, how's it going? You want to get a little closer to the mic?
Hello.
There you go. Right on. High five, Janice. Janice is awesome. Janice has been in recovery for a while, and I got to meet Janice through meetings that are taking place in Vancouver and so forth. We spend a lot of time during Pride Month. Janice is an awesome volunteer for our Clean, Sober, and Proud activities, which we're going to talk about as well. And she helps out with the amazing Intoxicated Festival that happens on Pride Day. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about Janice first. So Janice, our first guest actually asked you this question in the lobby before the show. And I don't think I've ever asked somebody that question. So I was like, I want to ask Janice that. Because it's something that we don't talk a lot about. What caused your addiction?
Well, actually, I kind of didn't really tell him the truth.
Oh, you didn't tell him the truth. Okay.
Well, it's a personal question.
Yeah.
I didn't know him.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, I'm not going to pour my heart out to him because I don't even know who he was.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But, I suffer from a lot of physical pain.
Okay.
And so my drug of choice took that away from me.
Okay.
Immediately. So that was one of the reasons. But, I came from a very dysfunctional family. And so that was another reason. And I was also in a very toxic relationship that I was trying to get out of.
Okay.
And so there was a lot, it was just a perfect scenario for me to just fall into addiction. I did.
So we have an entire country wanting to find the cause of addiction. With our overdose crisis, everyone's trying to find the cause. Because if we find out the cause, trauma, neglect, there's so many other pain. My question now is, what caused your recovery?
I think basically it was my family.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not close to my family at all. And now I'm not, because both my parents are deceased and the two good sisters are gone.
Okay.
So I just have the two really, really mean sisters. And,
okay.
I had to go to Al-Anon to actually detach with love.
Oh, wow.
To find how to deal with them. Because that caused a lot of anxiety, just talking to them. The sound of my one sister's voice would just send me into an anxiety attack.
So, did you find did you solve, so when we talked about what caused your addiction, did you solve and cure those causes, or was finding recovery a journey of just learning how to live? I'm trying to, is there a cure for addiction?
I believe the steps was my cure, because my first set of steps was all about drugs. My second set of steps was all about my mother. And my mother suffered from bipolar and schizophrenic. She had a mental breakdown 6 months after I was born. So what was she?
Oh boy.
How was
Sorry
she
to hear
feeling?
that.
How was she feeling when she was carrying me, right? And I found that out when I was 40. Okay, and it was hidden from me. My aunt and uncle, I lived with them for the first 2.5 years of my life, and my aunt and uncle were asked not to reveal any of that to me.
How long ago was all this happening? When did you start your recovery journey?
When I was 47.
So you're 40. So you had 20 years of using?
I drank when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. that was the norm for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was in school still, and then, I smoked pot, but I hated it. I just got tired and go to sleep, right? So, but then I found uppers, and, I liked that, and because that kept me awake. And then it wasn't really until I was in my, late 30s that I discovered cocaine.
And it turned your life upside down.
Well, I always said I didn't want to become an addict, right? And so it was manageable until I was about 43, and that's basically when I broke up with an ex that I had been with for 17 years, and the relationship was highly dysfunctional, and I needed change. And I was afraid to live alone, and I went to my doctor, basically.
Your doctor? And
Yep.
did your doctor? What did he do? Did he give you?
She.
Did the doctor give you a prescription? Did the doctor? What did the doctor do?
Well, like I was already hooked at this point, and she suggested that I stop using, and maybe seek help and stuff, right? And
so there's so many people like you saw coming into the studio. There's like 5-6 people cooking up their heroin, maybe speedballs, all that, taking place right in the front steps. What got you to see? Because that's the missing link. Like what got you to be able to sit here in recovery and they're still out there?
That's a really hard question because I was never on the street.
Okay.
So. And my dealer drove it to my house, and he did ask me once where I was getting all the money from.
Yeah.
And basically it was my savings, my RSPs and whatever I saved up at that point, right? And then the money started running out. I lost my job. I got laid off, and
so how close are you to being on the street?
I don't really think I was really that close.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's just not part of my story. I think what really got me into recovery was when I OD'd one night, and I just prayed to God, like, please don't let me die, please don't let me die.
Oh.
And like I could feel my heartbeat, like it was like outside of my body, right? I had done too much or something. And the next day, I was still here. And then the day after that, I was right back to using. So, like,
what do you mean? That's crazy. Why would you do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, thank you for saving me, but now you're gonna go out and try to kill myself again.
Yeah. So over this time of through your recovery journey and so forth, you've obviously have witnessed a lot of people coming and going in recovery and so forth. How do you think? It's changed. Like you starting your recovery journey back there. Do you think it's different nowadays with the opioid crisis?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would be different?
I posted something on my Facebook page about this fentanyl, and a couple of months ago I watched that video, right? And the
which video?
On the post that that was on Facebook.
Okay.
And I watched it, and I could relate to those two people that were hooked, because they wanted to stop, yet they had no idea how to do it, and I didn't either have any idea how to do it. I never heard of NA. I knew AA, like everybody knows AA, but like my alcohol wasn't my drug of choice, so I didn't know there was Narcotics Anonymous. And then I phoned a friend and I told her that I needed help, and she said to call Narcotics Anonymous. And believe it or not, phone books were still there. Like, you could look it up.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And I phoned her back and I said, I have no idea how to spell narcotic. So she goes, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. And she phoned me back with a number. Now, I kept that number in my pocket, like I kept my drug in my pocket.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that was in October, and I didn't go for my first meeting until December 2003 was my first meeting.
That was your first meeting.
Yeah.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you like, what the hell?
It's funny because December 14th, 2003 was day one.
Okay.
And I went the next day, which was my birthday, and I thought, they gave me a book to read, and the first thing, being an addict, first thing, I have to stay up and read this book. So I phoned my dealer, Because, like...
No way. You phoned your dealer,
I
called
did.
him up, I need something to stay
Yeah,
awake.
you did.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I mean, I did a lot of bizarre things when I went to my first couple of meetings and so forth. So now, what are some of the struggles you have today? You've been in recovery?
I'm very lucky. You know, my head doesn't speak to me. I know the chatter. You know, it did it last week. And only if something really, you know, pressing happens to me. But I shut my brain down, basically. The first 6 months in recovery, I put my brain in a coma. And I said, just go to sleep and shut.
Yeah.
You know, I can't swear, so I can't say it. But, and it did. It just shut up. So, but...
And why do you still go to meetings? Like, I mean, 2003, that was a long time ago. You know, you're good to go to work, go on holidays.
I don't really like meetings, but
Okay.
I just started going back, and I had a trigger. I went to Ontario, and I had a trigger. I was stuck on an island, and this guy walked in with glassy eyes, and I was looking at me, and it triggered me. And you know, and he was drunk, and yeah, it was just like I guess, you know, I realized that I can help people just by sharing my story and my strength and my hope, and you know, because there is a lot there. Now, I never did detox or detox or recovery house. I never knew about them, and so the 12 steps worked for me.
So now you're a big part of Intoxicated, Clean, Sober, and
it.
Proud. You know, I remember you just asking, hey, can I help? And it's like, hey, man, anybody can help. Everybody can help. And what's it mean to you helping out during Pride for the Clean, Sober, and Proud?
Well, it keeps me connected with people because I need that. Like, I'm not connected with my family, so I don't have that sisterly love with my sisters. And so people in recovery are basically my family. And, you know, I know a lot of the guys that, you know, help out and stuff, right? So, and I like being around that energy, that clean energy. That's what I like. You know, I like positive people, and you know, and I realize, you know, like the door is a men's recovery house and stuff, right? And you know, that's great. It works for a lot of people, but it also doesn't work for some people. And I've lost a lot of people in recovery, and you know, it's something that, you know, I struggle with, and I think that's why I stopped going to meetings, because I started getting close to people, and then I'd find out they OD'd, and you know, they're never coming back, and you know, it was really hard for me. I went through the AIDS crisis in Toronto, and you know, I lost a lot of friends through AIDS too. So
a lot of people try to match the AIDS crisis with the overdose crisis. You know, they're saying that it's affecting us all the same as it did back then. So you were part of the AIDS crisis. You know, I caught the tail end of it and so forth, and I was in the bar scene when that was all going on. Do you think it's relatable?
You know, I don't actually.
Okay, because I don't either.
I don't think it is.
I think it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing too, to get over the AIDS crisis, we all got together in unity. Didn't matter what color you were, how much money you had. It didn't matter if you were a doctor or lawyer or a homeless person. Everybody got the same treatment. And people showed up with money. Lots of money. Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to overcome the AIDS crisis. And the addiction crisis, you've got your harm reductionists, you got your abstinence people, you got your medication people, you got big pharma, you got your marijuana crew, and no one's like everyone's better than everybody, and you know, and no one's getting along, and there's all these silos, and we're not all walking down the street together, you know, demanding, you know, everybody either wants you know, this type of treatment or that type of treatment, like whatever treatment model their stakeholder groups are attached to, that's the model, that's the most evidence-based. We didn't do that with the AIDS crisis, and we're not all working together, and I just don't think it's relatable. And you can't fix addiction with a pill.
No, you can't.
You know, the AIDS crisis, you could, you know, and unfortunately you can't. And all, you know, here's a little disclaimer, might get me in trouble. All the physicians and agencies and NGOs that were really big in the AIDS crisis that received hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to help stop the AIDS crisis. Well, the AIDS crisis, there's medication out there. It's not solved, but it's pretty solved. They need a new project to work on, and they've decided to take on the addiction crisis, and they know nothing about addiction. You have a bunch of people that know nothing about addiction trying to add a biological solution to addiction, like they added a biological solution to the AIDS crisis. And I was sitting at a press conference once, and I was just looking at these guys who have won global awards for helping solve the AIDS crisis. And the way they were talking about addiction, it's like they're looking for a pill to fix it. Yeah. And I was like, we're bleeped. Like, we are totally bleeped. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not the same thing. No. And it's really sad, and so many more people are dying. So Clean, Sober, and Proud, you're going to be part of it again this year. We got literally 2 minutes. I really appreciate you wanting to help out with Clean, Sober, and Proud. If you're out there and you want to help out, you can go to cleansoberandproud.com and just send us an email. We're always looking for volunteers. And it's your Pride. A lot of people would say, I don't go to Pride anymore because it's too toxic, and I get triggered at Pride, and Pride's not for me. Pride's just a big drinking thing. And it's like, Pride's for all of us.
Well, it is a big drinking thing too. And I don't like Pride, but
yeah.
I like volunteering.
But you find safety.
Yeah.
And you find you find a purpose in that
I have
noise.
fun at the event.
Yeah, and it's all about, Pride's not going to change. People are going to drink. Welcome to the real world. So how do we add our environment to that? That's my perspective.
Well, it's nice that there's a safe place for people to go who want to actually enjoy Pride without the drinking and the drugs.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Thanks for being on the show today. And we appreciate all that you do, and keep going to meetings and inspiring people. Okay. That's always necessary. And I'm going to grab the camera. Darren's going to be closing up our show today. Hey, Darren?
I guess, yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I was just thinking on a final note here, like, Stuart mentioned his story of suicide, and yeah, not necessarily because of Pride approaching, but there's these opportunities of people in this world that sometimes we want to keep it quiet as individuals, and we don't want to talk about the pain and the hurt. Like these, I know this event isn't just to show up and dance if you're clean. That any time that these events go on, there is a group of people, volunteers, planners, attendees that would stop everything and anything that they're doing to lend out a helping hand, offer a hug, offer an ear, and just a reminder and a heads up if you're feeling some pain and you don't know where to go and it seems hopeless. Give us a call. Send a call into the show. Send a message. We'll respond. That's our show. Thanks for listening to Talk Recovery. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook. Thanks to our guests, Janice K, sharing her personal story, and Stuart Ellis Myers, keynote speaker, author, just a twitchy guy. Okay, we're going to end it off. That's it for Giuseppe and Darren, Front Porch Lounger. This is G Love.